Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2023-24 season. My name is Dan and it's time for my Game Week 16 team selection video. The video where we're going to go through my transfers and captaincy selections for this game week, and I might be going a little bit different this week. You're going to see soon what I'm doing. So if you do enjoy this one, drop a like, do subscribe. Let's get started with my Game Week 15 scores. Well, I'm not going to lie to you, Game Week 15 was a disaster. It really was, and I think it probably was for a lot of people, but it doesn't make it feel any better, does it? It's really, really tough out there in FPL right now, particularly when you feel like you're picking good, strong players who should do well, and they just don't. I mean, Newcastle losing 3-0 to Everton. Who saw that one coming? Arsenal conceding 3 goals, again, to Luton Town. How has that happened? And then you've got the likes of Salah getting nothing against Sheffield United, Son getting nothing against West Ham. You have to ask yourself, what more can you do? It really is tough out there. But there was a few nice things in my team. I guess Palmer scored. He's still looking very, very good. And Mbeumo, yes, despite his goal, he did get injured as well. So, yeah, it's tough out there right now. It's really, really rough. And, yeah, we're going to try and do something about it. But am I feeling optimistic right now? I can't lie to you guys. Not really. It's, yeah, it's just a tough period of FPL. We just got to get through it, and hopefully things get better a little bit soon. So, onto my Game Week 16 team. We've got one free transfer, but nothing in the bank, and you guys probably know what the priority areas to deal with are for me. But let's go through my team anyway. We'll start off in goal with Dubravka, an away fixture against Spurs. Am I feeling confident about this one, given that Newcastle just lost 3-0? No, not particularly. Dubravka did make a couple of decent saves, to be fair, which I think is a positive thing at the very least. The only really conceding goals through mistakes from the defence. I'm not going to name any names, but yeah, it's an interesting one. I think we'll see what happens. Newcastle have been a decent defence in general. Their away form isn't fantastic, and they do look like they do have some tired legs at the moment as well. So it's a mystery what's going to happen here. But are there any other goalkeepers this game week that we will be more confident in? Not particularly. So, I mean, it's kind of the best of a bad bunch. And at 4 million, at least you're not splashing the cash too much on a position, which doesn't really seem to be getting any consistent points at the moment. So, we'll move on from there. Next up is Kieran Trippier. Yes, the double up in the Newcastle defence against Spurs. It's again, not a great fixture, but at least with Trippier, you do feel like if he is able to continue playing all of these games, which fingers crossed he will be, Spurs are a team that are still conceding goals. You know, we saw that again against West Ham in that game. Spurs are still just not clicking defensively. I think maybe that's in part to the fact that they don't care about defence. They are an attack-first kind of team. So they are going to concede chances, and at least with Trippier, compared to some of the other Newcastle defenders, we do have that attacking output, whether it's from crosses, whether it's from passes, whether it's from corners or free kicks. You know, Trippier always on those free kicks as well, and having those opportunities to score that way. He does have more avenues to points, rather than a lot of other defenders who are reliant more on clean sheets, which I don't think Trippier totally is. So there is still a small hope for him, and after this, the double Newcastle defence fixtures look a lot better with Fulham, Luton and Forest. So these are not players I'd be looking to sell, but they are players I'm just trying to hold through this game week, hope for the best, and then after that, I think things will look a lot better. I'm hoping anyway. Next up, we've got Gabriel, an away game against Aston Villa. Now, that's going to be a tough one for sure, but Arsenal still are the best defence in the Premier League. Forget that Luton game. Yes, it's a one-off fixture. It's a bit of an anomaly that Arsenal did concede that many goals against a Luton Town team, but in general, they're still a very strong defence. And I do think against Aston Villa, you still back them. And I think you've got to back the Arsenal defence against pretty much anyone. And we've already seen them keep a clean sheet against Man City, for example, this season. And arguably, that's the toughest fixture of all for a defender. So if Arsenal can keep clean sheets there, they can keep clean sheets against anyone. Is it guaranteed? No. But is it guaranteed that anyone will keep a clean sheet at the moment? No, it's really not. And in general, it does seem like it's just a bad week for clean sheets in general. I don't think there's too many teams out there who have any real decent chance of clean sheets this week. So it's kind of like, you know, stick with what you've got. You know, this is probably the best you're going to get anyway. Let's not overthink this one too much. And that kind of leads us on to our final defender, who for me is Charlie Taylor again. Now, last game week, I played him. He got 1 point, but that looked like a bad pick compared to like the Arsenal defenders. He ended up matching the Arsenal defenders' scores with that 1 pointer, which is pretty mad, really, when you put it that way. Now, maybe I'm just trying to lie to myself a little bit here, but Brighton's attacking numbers are down significantly over the last 5, 6, 7 game weeks. They really, really have been putting up some pretty poor attacking numbers. So there is an increased chance compared to earlier on in the season that a Brighton fixture is an opportunity to get a clean sheet. They do only seem to be scoring 1 goal per game, and 1 goal per game that Brighton are scoring in general, no, that could easily go to 2 some game weeks. It could easily go to 0 some game weeks as well, depending on a little bit of luck, a little bit of variance, I suppose. And Burnley are improving in defence, even though they're still not great. But in general, Taylor, is he a great defensive pick? No. Is there anyone else that stands out to me this week? No, not really. So what do you do here? I'm not sure. We'll talk about what other defender options there are in a moment. But if I'm totally honest, would I want to swap Taylor, a 1 point bandit, for another 1 point bandit? Probably not. I don't really see the point in doing that. It doesn't seem like there's much to be gained here. I think Taylor's got just as much of a clean sheet chance of many other defenders right now, to be honest, which is the sorry state of FPL that we are currently in. In midfield, guys, we've got Mo Salah, a player who showed so much promise last game week. It didn't happen, but hopefully we can get back to business against the Crystal Palace team that are struggling a lot at the moment. They are conceding a lot of goals. The Crystal Palace defence is just in the mud right now. Even with those easy fixtures that they've had recently, they've been conceding goals. So coming up against a strong team like Liverpool, I would be backing the likes of Salah. And guys, if you've got Simicast or Darwin, I'll be backing them too. I think they'll be back in the starting lineup, and I think they'll do well against Crystal Palace in general. So Salah, a decent pick, definitely a decent pick in this away fixture against Crystal Palace. It would be nicer if it was a home game, but it's not. So yeah, I think Salah could do okay. I'm not too worried. It's just one of those players who's probably going to score a little bit, a few points, which is nice, something. I'll take anything right now, and Salah's probably going to deliver that. Next up, Heung-min Son, and he has got the yellow Dorito of death next to his name, which is causing some concern to a lot of FPL managers, and I can kind of understand why. The latest on Son is that he was in a little bit of pain at the end of last game week 15, last night, but is that going to be a long-term issue? Well, it's not, apparently. It's an issue that has already been going on. You know, this is something that Son has been dealing with this season. He's been managing. He's been, maybe having his own kind of training regime to help manage this kind of ongoing problem where he has to play so many games at the moment. So Son definitely could do with a nice rest at some point or another. But against Newcastle at home, I'm not sure this is the game week that it's going to happen. So there is obviously a small chance that Son doesn't play. In general, I wouldn't be too worried about this one. It just seems to be one of those things that a lot of players are going to face with this heavy fixture schedule. There's been a lot of injuries. There's been a lot of tired legs out there. You can understand why, Son is feeling the heat a little bit at the moment too. So hopefully he'll be able to continue. But again, he's so crucial to Spurs. It's an important game, a really important game for Spurs. I can't see him getting dropped or rotated or rested unless it's super important to do that. I think Spurs will do everything in their power to make sure Son is playing in game week 16. So don't think he's a sell, personally, particularly not if you're taking -4s and if you have other issues to deal with in your team as well. And most of us do have other issues in our teams, and just don't think this is a priority move. Let's move on to Saka. Another return last game week. He's been consistent, if nothing else. I guess that transfer paid off well, I guess, to bring in Saka into my team in a way. So yeah, it's fine. It's okay. I'm reasonably happy with that. And against Aston Villa, I don't think they're the strongest defence in the Premier League. They're very good in attack, but I think Arsenal, they've been managing to get results no matter what at the moment, and Saka, with his consistency, is just a player that can be relied upon. Don't think he's anywhere near captain material, and I don't even know if he's necessarily worth the 8.9 million, given, how we're seeing him play on the pitch. He's playing fine, but for FPL returns, I think we have been maybe a little bit fortunate to get them so far this season. So, yeah. Hopefully it can continue. Hopefully he can continue that consistency. But another player, just like, yeah, he'll probably do okay. Not expecting huge things from him. Next up, Bruyne and Mbeumo. He's injured. Yeah, he's injured. Unfortunately, it's going to be him. He's confirmed out for Game Week 16, but the idea is that he's actually going to be out for several game weeks. In fact, with AFCON coming up, we could barely see him feature again before AFCON, which means we might not even see Mbeumo until February back in the Brentford team. But by the time Mbeumo comes back to this Brentford team, probably going to see Tony back on the pitch, and Tony will be taking the penalty. So is Mbeumo finished as an FPL asset for this entire Premier League season? Unfortunately, he may well be. So that's definitely a concern there, and he's definitely a priority sell if you do have him. There's not really any real benefits to keeping him at this point because of the nature of his injury and because of what's coming up in the future as well with Tony and AFCON as well. So let's finish off this midfield with Palmer, the shining light of my team. Yes, Palmer, thank you. Thank you for being one nice player in my team last game week, who actually gave me a little treat, gave me a little smile, which I very much needed last game week, let me tell you that. Next fixture is against Everton, but to be fair, an away fixture against Everton, I'm not sure this is such a great fixture. I'm not massively convinced by this one. It's an okay fixture, don't get me wrong, but it's definitely not a strong fixture given that Everton have been in good form at the moment. An away fixture as well. Chelsea coming off the back of a loss against Manchester United. Not really sure how to feel about this one. The good thing about Palmer, though, is that he is a player in form, playing very well, full of confidence and seemingly nailed on as well. So overall, I'm happy with Palmer, particularly for the long term, or medium term and long term, really. Happy with this player, happy with this pick, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to be picking up a Palmer in your team very soon as well. Up front, guys, we have got Erling Haaland. Yes, Luton Town away. Finally, a good player with a good fixture. This is what we're looking for, right? It's going to be a tough game week, and I think Haaland could be the man to bail us out of a lot of problems because, yeah, obviously this is a very strong fixture. Luton Town often concede a lot of their chances through the central areas of the pitch, and that's going to be where Erling Haaland is going to be occupying. He's been quite unlucky not to get more FPL returns recently, so hopefully he can turn that form around a little bit. Been a couple of games since he scored a goal. We know that his goal droughts do not last very long, so believe me, he will be back and firing before you know it, and it's probably going to be happening against a team like Luton, who are a team who do concede a lot of goals, do concede a lot of chances. They're probably one of the weakest teams in the Premier League in terms of their defence. You probably put them alongside Sheffield United in that regard, certainly when we look at those underlying numbers. So, yeah, Halland, hopefully a haul for him. And finally, Isak, super unlucky to not get attacking returns again. Man, he has looked good, but it's just not coming off. Like the end product is he's trying, like there always seems to be little things stopping him, like a player in the way of his shots, or you know, him kind of being off balance when he takes that shot, or yeah, it's tough. He's creating a little bit as well. He looks like a good player, and against Spurs, a team where who do concede goals, you do back Isak as probably the most likely player to score in this game. Maybe even more likely than Gordon from the Newcastle team. So there is a degree of confidence there. He's on penalties as well. So hopefully maybe Romero can lose his head and maybe make a bad tackle and Isak steps up to take the penalty. That would be pretty nice. And the good news is that for Isak owners, Wilson is not quite ready to start still. There is a small chance that Wilson does make the bench this game week because he's going to have a late fitness test to see if he can make the bench in Game Week 16 or not. But it does look like Isak is going to be starting. So this could be the last chance to get some FPL points from Isak before he goes back to being that super rotation risk player. So please, Isak, please reward me. Spurs are conceding goals at the moment. So surely this is an opportunity for me. Surely this is the week he beats Watkins, he beats Darwin. Maybe. Let's see what happens there. But my fingers are firmly crossed on this one. I think it could come off. Onto the bench, guys. We have got Turner not really getting game time at the moment, although I do wonder whether that could change pretty soon with Nottingham Forest conceding quite a lot of goals recently. I wonder if Turner might get his opportunity to come back into the team soon. I guess we'll see. It might even be worth me starting Turner this game week, just in case he does get a start. I don't know. To be honest, guys, Forest have looked so poor defensively that I don't even know if I trust him against Wolves. We've got Cash here against Arsenal. Not expecting many returns from him, really. Not expecting a clean sheet, and I'm not even really sure if I'm expecting Cash to start or not. He's been benched for 2 games in a row right now, and that's a bad sign indeed. Could it possibly be a player to sell as well? Mbeumo, probably not going to get minutes in this game against Fulham. And Aït-Nouri has been once again ruled out this game week. There's a very, very slim chance that Aït-Nouri makes the bench. But that's pretty much all the best we can hope for, really. From him, it's not looking good. So, again, really frustrating. He would have got a clean sheet last game week. He probably would get a clean sheet again this game week. I'm very frustrated that I picked up this player for last game week, for this game week, and I don't have him available for those game weeks, and he would have scored points in them had he played, had he not got that freak injury. So frustrating, really, really frustrating, and maybe another player I need to think about selling soon, because by the time he's back, I think the fixtures turn a little bit, and then he's going to be off with AFCON as well, because he's going to be playing for Algeria in the AFCON tournament. So, yeah, Aït-Nouri, another player that I probably need to think about removing. So, there are problems in my team. There really are, and we need to try and deal with them. So I would say the main problem areas in my team would be Mbeumo and Isak. I think the rest of my team, even though some of them don't have the best fixtures this game week, they are good players to own in the long term. So Mbeumo, with his injury, he is going to be the priority sell for me. No doubt about that. He's going to be injured for at least this game week, but I suspect it's going to be more like 3, 4, maybe even 5 game weeks, and then he'll possibly be jetting off to the AFCON anyway. And then we've got Isak, who I think this is his last chance. Would I really consider selling him now? No, but he is on the chopping block as well. And if I did need to free up funds, I think Isak would be the player right now I'd be most willing to sacrifice. At the same time, I do like the look of upgrading Isak to Watkins at a certain point in the near future, possibly in game week 18, where Aston Villa play against Sheffield United. So do I keep Isak around for now? Probably, but he's definitely a player who is on the chopping block for me. I would say him and Mbeumo, out of my starting players, are the players I'd be most willing to sacrifice right now. I guess you could throw in Son in there if it turns out that he is injured, but I'm just not convinced by that. Of course, the bench players are on the chopping block as well. Turner with no game time recently. Cash not getting game time, and with a tough fixture against Arsenal. I've been holding on to Cash, hoping that he might be back into the starting 11 by the time Villa play against Sheffield United, but I'm now worried about that one. Mbeumo could maybe be upgraded to another forward if I kind of thought, okay, could I go for another forward that could maybe cover Halland in game week 18 and maybe play occasionally for me? Could I go for a cheap guy there? Possibly, and spend just a tiny bit of money on that one. And we've got Aït-Nouri as well, who, yeah, like I say, he is going to be a problem for me. You know, injured, bad fixtures after the injury, AFCON after the bad fixtures. He's a player I'm going to have to sell eventually. So should I just do it now? Should I just get rid of him now, deal with that issue? Or maybe I should just keep him, or maybe I should sell Cash. Like, I don't even know. Who's the priority sell between Cash and Aït-Nouri? One of them's got to go at some point. I don't really know which one it is. Is Aït-Nouri even going to be nailed on when he does come back? When he does come back into the Wolves team? Or is Bruyne going to hold his place in that left wing-back position? Really, really tough to say, isn't it? So here are my transfer targets. No goalkeeper transfer targets. I'm happy with Dubravka for the long term. So no notion of change there. For defenders, I'm looking at Pedro Porro and Colwill. Though, to be honest, neither of them have good fixtures this week. So is this the best time to jump on them? Or am I going to get just as many points by playing one of my rubbish defenders who I also have in my team right now? I don't know. You know, I get the feeling that a Taylor or a Cash might score just as well as a Porro or a Colwill. I do like Porro's attacking output, but Porro is quite expensive, and it's quite difficult for me to actually upgrade to him, particularly if I want to make sure I have the funds available to make the Watkins move in a couple of game weeks' time. So that is going to be a little bit tough for me. And we've got Colwill here. I do like him, really do like him as a pick, but Everton showing good form at the moment. Do I actually think that Chelsea will keep a clean sheet against Everton? Yes, there's a chance, but is there really that much more of a chance than Taylor keeping a clean sheet against Brighton, or Gabriel keeping a clean sheet against Aston Villa? Not particularly, maybe a little bit, but like not massively. I don't really fully trust the Chelsea defence at the moment in general, and I think Everton are in good enough form that we should probably be wary, a little bit wary about our chances, our realistic chances of an Everton, Everton not scoring against Chelsea. I don't know what's going to happen here, really. I'm not massively confident. For midfielders, there's actually a few options, but this is a really interesting one, guys, because I'm in a unique situation here. And that's why you're seeing a strange array of players in this midfield position of my transfer targets. And I want to really clarify here, guys, these videos that I make are about my team and what I need to be doing with my team. And this is not necessarily advice for you guys to do with your team. So let me be clear on this one, because I really do want to be. I'm in a unique situation where I already have Cole Palmer, so I can't do Mbeumo to Palmer. That would be the super obvious transfer that I think pretty much everyone who doesn't have Palmer should just do Mbeumo to Palmer. It's so straightforward. I don't have any money in the bank, so I can't upgrade Mbeumo to Bowen, who will also be an amazing pick, and a lot of you guys will have the money in the bank to do Mbeumo to Bowen. Easy move again. And the other easy move, the easy replacement for Mbeumo is going to be Gordon. But of course, I can't get Gordon because I've already tripled up on Newcastle. So really unique situation for me where I want to sell Mbeumo, but I can't buy Palmer, I can't buy Gordon, I can't buy Bowen. And those three are, in my opinion, the best replacements for Mbeumo. I can't do any of them. So what am I going to do? I've got to look elsewhere. Well, Raheem Sterling, but I'm not really convinced by this Chelsea game against Everton. I think that's going to be a little bit of a tough one for them at the moment. So I'm not really sure. And I've also seen Sterling's numbers. His underlying numbers are actually really quite poor. So I'm not really totally convinced by that one. I think if he didn't score that free kick the other week, I don't think anyone will be talking about Raheem Sterling, really. His just numbers are just not there at the moment. He's not super crucial to Chelsea's attack, so that puts me off. We've got Kudus. He is pretty inconsistent, really. He has these really nice moments, but in general, again, his numbers are on the floor. He really doesn't look like he's got those really good numbers, and West Ham's fixtures are kind of mixed. I don't think they're amazing after the next two. Even the next two aren't. I wouldn't say they're super easy fixtures. I say they're kind of medium difficulty fixtures. So, yeah, another difficulty there. Do I trust Kudus? I don't know if I do. Which brings us to He-Chan. I do think he is the standout player here. 5.7 million, so a little bit cheaper than these other guys, which would free up the 1 million or over 1 million that I need to make the Isak to Watkins move at a certain point in the future, which will be nice. I do need to think about how I'm going to free up that money, and the Mbeumo injury is going to be a blessing in disguise for me, because it is going to allow me to free up that money to reinvest in Watkins very, very soon. But He-Chan, again, his numbers aren't actually that good. His fixtures coming up aren't really amazing. We've got the Nottingham Forest game, which I think is a fantastic fixture. But after that, I'm not as convinced. Are we going to be depending on penalties, maybe, for a He-Chan to get consistent returns? Possibly. Also, He-Chan is a player who is going to be going off to the Asia Cup in maybe, 5-6 game weeks time? So another player who is not a long-term solution, and he's on 4 yellow cards. So is Sterling, by the way, guys. 4 yellow cards these players are on. If they get one more, that's a suspension. So these are all kind of tiny little reasons that kind of put me off. When you add all the little reasons together, they do put me off these players a lot. So I'm not actually convinced by Sterling, Kudus, or He-Chan, even though He-Chan is probably the default answer for me. Which brings us to our final pick here. And this is a controversial one. So we know Bournemouth have been in really good form recently. Everything is clicking for them. They're doing really, really well. And they have some nice fixtures coming up. They've got Manchester United next. And Manchester United are a team who... Hear me out, Manchester United fans. Yes, you've been keeping clean sheets, but your defensive numbers are horrible. You're conceding so many chances constantly. And I think against some better teams, these chances are going to get converted, because fortunately, Manchester United recently have played a lot of the weaker teams with weaker attacks, and therefore they haven't been able to capitalise on all of the chances that they've been creating against Manchester United. So I think that is a cause for concern. I think Bournemouth have been such a good attack in recent weeks, over the last month, that they could do damage against United. Of course, United could just completely, try and kill the game off and just play super, painful football to watch maybe, but it's something that they have been doing recently to grind out results against some of the lesser opponents. But are we being disrespectful to Bournemouth there? Are they actually a lesser opponent right now? Well, I'm not sure. But so, yeah, Manchester United, I think, on paper, is a opportunity to get attacking returns, because it's a team that do concede a lot of chances. We've got Luton Town at home after that, followed by Nottingham Forest, followed by Fulham. So we really are talking a set of the worst defences in the Premier League if you look at their underlying numbers. Just putting that one out there. Also, Tavernier, he is a player who got a rest in the midweek. You know, he's been nailed on all season. They got his one rest last game week, which is nice. And he's fresh legs. And even when he came on, he looked brilliant. Been speaking to some Bournemouth fans this week as well. They say Tavernier is kind of a real crucial player. He's probably been their best, Bournemouth's best player this season. He's crucial to a lot of things that they do in attack. He's also on all set pieces, so free kicks and corners. He's going to be on those as well. So actually, you have got a decent amount of avenues to get points from a player like a Tavernier. One more thing. This is the final point. And yes, these numbers were boosted by the Sheffield United game that Bournemouth played. However, Tavernier has the best expected, non-penalty expected goal involvement of any midfielder in FPL per start over the last 5 game weeks. You can maybe even extend that to 6 game weeks. I think Phil Foden leaps above him and he goes into second for non-penalty expected goal involvements per start. So that's significant. That means non-penalty goal involvements over the last 5 game weeks, he's been doing better than Salah, he's been doing better than Saka, Son, whoever else you want to talk about, you name it, he has been there. His numbers outside of the Sheffield United game haven't been amazing, but they've been decent. They've been decent enough, maybe similar to a Hwang Hee-chan in many ways. Decent numbers, but not amazing numbers. And I just think with the set pieces there that he's going to have and the great fixtures coming up, is this a differential? Is this an opportunity? He's 0.3% selected. I like him as a differential. So there we go, guys. I'm not going to talk about him anymore. That is my I guess, my little chat about Tavernier, I guess. So the possible moves are as follows. I've got the sensible move, Mbeumo to Hwang Hee-chan. Makes a lot of sense. We can go for a crazy move, and we could go for Mbeumo out and then bring in Tavernier. Of course, freeing up loads of budget doing that one as well, and kind of try and take a little bit of a risk there. Or we can take yet another hit. Surely not. The third -4 hit in a row. But I have problems in my team. Maybe I just have to bite the bullet and do it. So that would involve taking out Mbeumo and possibly Aït-Nouri, possibly Cash. I can't decide out of those 2 players which one is the one to remove from my team. And then replacing them with Hwang and Colwill, I guess. Because I don't think I'll be quite able to afford Porro if I want to ensure I have the funds for a Watkins move in the future. So I'm in a tough spot right now, guys. I really, really am. And I'd love to hear some of your opinions on what you think you would maybe do it in my situation, given that there is no option for a Gordon or a Palmer or a Bowen for me. So with that all said, we need to make a transfer, and yeah, I think the answer to what I'm going to do is pretty obvious. If I want to get FPL points in my team, yeah, let's just keep it nice and simple and do what I usually do, and that will be to transfer out Mbeumo and go for the ridiculous move of Tavernier. Yes, Tavernier, yeah, he's probably the guy I'm going to go for right now. He's the player I'm thinking about. He's the player I most want to go for. It's a gut feeling pick. It is a pick that I think he's maybe an overlooked player right now. And I would love for you guys to try and talk me out of this. If you can talk me out of this by this evening, I will go for Hwang instead. Tell me why I shouldn't go for Tavernier. And if you just say things like, well, he didn't do the points in all the game weeks, then that's not good enough for me. I don't care about past points. I look at future potential for players. And if you can give me a convincing answer as to why Tavernier doesn't have potential to score points, more points than he has done so far this season, well, I mean, I'll take him out. I'll go for Hwang instead. But one of you guys has got to convince me first. I'd particularly like to hear from Cherries fans, Bournemouth fans. Let me know if you think this move is a little bit too dumb. But at this moment, guys, I'm at a point in FPL where I don't have answers anymore, particularly for my own team. There's no obvious solution for me. I'm not convinced by any of the obvious picks. Is that not the perfect opportunity to go for a differential when you're not convinced by any of the other picks? I guess so. So, yeah. Let's go. Tavernier. For captaincy, guys, we are going to go for Halland. Pretty obvious there against Luton Town. Vice captain is going to go for Salah there as well. So the 2 big players of the Premier League right now are going to get the captain and vice captain respectively. And there you go. That's my team. Let's see what the AI thinks of it. Well, at least the AI and me agree on one thing, and that is that my team has some problems. So I'd be really curious to see what the suggested transfer would be if I'm not going to go for Tavernier. Who should I go for? Answer me, AI. Save me, Fantasy Football Hub AI. What can I do? And there we have it. It suggested the most obvious move. Yeah, maybe obvious is obvious for a reason. Hee-chan is the sensible one for me to go for right now. Totally get it. Maybe that is the move after all. But I need, first of all, you guys to convince me that I shouldn't go for Tavernier and that I should go for Hechan as well. The AI has started the ball rolling with its predicted points, saying this is the ideal transfer move for me. Of course, guys, if you want to check out this tool and find out your recommended transfers, if you're in a bit of a jam yourself and you want to get a second opinion from a computer that does all the calculations on the best transfer moves, then of course you can check Fantasy Football Hub's AI My Team tool using the link at the top of the description to see if it can help you out as well. You can have a free trial there and use it to your pleasure. So there we go. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you did enjoy, make sure you drop a like, do subscribe if you are new around here as well. Make sure you check out another video if you want to. We've got a few videos and streams as well for Game Week 16 so far. You've got plenty of content there, particularly around Mbeumo and the like. But guys, I will be back for a stream tomorrow morning where we'll be making that final decision. Then we will decide, will it be Tavernier? Will it be Hwang? We'll find out very soon. Aside from that, guys, thank you so much for watching once again, and I will see you later, mates. Bye-bye.